Okay, guys, it's about 3 o'clock in the morning, and earlier tonight, well, last night, I was talking to Panic Man 10 about the Switch, and we've been going back and forth with this conversation for the last about 2 or 3 weeks, or ever since Nintendo did their Switch event. Me and him been talking about it, how we think it'll work out, we think it'll sell, etc., etc. So, here's my thoughts on it. Do I think it'll sell? To be honest, no. And I say that because of the Wii U. As we all know, the Wii was, I think, like one of the best-selling consoles of all time. Everybody jumped on that Wii bandwagon. I myself wound up getting one right as they were dying down. And I got the little Mario Kart edition, which was all red. And for what it was okay, I guess, but I just couldn't get the hang of the whole wiggly waggly Wiimote stuff. And I had Mario Kart, I had one of the Call of Duty games, and the whole Wiimote stuff just didn't do it for me. When it was little small mini games like the Wii Sports, that was fine, I could handle that. But complex stuff like shooting and whatnot, nah, it didn't really. Just give me a plain old controller with buttons. But going back to the Wii U came out, I thought it was a pretty okay idea, but it just didn't sell. And I don't know what the problem was with the Wii U. If it was no third-party support, or maybe Nintendo didn't bring out their big guns when they should have. Maybe it was a marketing decision. I don't know. In any case, it didn't sell. And saying that, I got to bring up the PS Vita. And this little puppy came out like 5 years ago, I believe it was. And I bought it day one. Like I said before, beautiful piece of hardware. And I was really excited the first year it came out. I mean, we were getting really good games. Uncharted was one of them, you know. There was a ninja game on there that was really good. Asphalt was a good racing game. Wipeout, even though I don't play those games, they look really good. Ninja Gaiden. So Metal Gear came out. I don't know if that was a first year title, but in any case it came out. So the Vita had really good games, but at the same time they would hand off IPs to second tier developers like Call of Duty. That should have been a top-notch game that was developed by the guys who made the game. Don't give an IP like Call of Duty off to a second-hand developer, you know, and they messed that up with Call of Duty. They messed it up with Resistance. And I mean, Call of Duty is fun. Even when I played a couple of times online, it was fun. But it could have been so much more. And I think that was one title that would have brought in a lot more people if they would have taken their time and made a quality Call of Duty game. But after the first year of the Vita, Sony dropped it like a bag of rocks. I think one of the last few games they did was the Borderlands package, Tearaway. I think there was one more big game they tried to push off. But after that, Sony dropped the ball. And I don't know why. I think they wanted to focus too much on the PS4, which that's fine. But at the same time, you spend millions in R&D to get this thing going. And then after the first year, you drop it because it didn't give you the sales you wanted, but at the same time, you weren't breaking your back to get the companies to make games for it. Where was the Grand Theft Autos for the Vita? Where were the sports titles for the Vita? Even though I don't play sports titles, where's the wrestling games? Where's the NBA games? Yeah, we did have a couple of baseball games, but where are the hockey games? Those are titles that people love to play. And I know they would have played them on the Vita, you know. They should have brought out more God of War games. And not just that God of War port of 1 and 2. But, you know, all new entry. Even if they had to pay those developers to make a game for it, I bet you $1 they would have jumped on it, you know? But I say that to say this. If Nintendo really wants this Switch to sell, they're going to have to bring out their big guns. And I'm not talking about Mario or Mario Kart. They're going to have to pay these developers to make games for the Switch. Otherwise, it's going to be another Wii U or another Vita. And I don't want that to happen because I don't want to see Nintendo go under. Even though I'm not the biggest supporter of Nintendo, I like their games, but, and I hate to say this because you could say it with any game, once you play a Mario Kart, you play all the Mario Karts. Once you play a Mario Brothers, you play all the Mario Brothers. You know, I hate to say it because you can say that with any game, any genre, but it just seems more apparent with Nintendo for some reason. But I don't want to see Nintendo go under, you know. But they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to bring out the Metroids. They're going to have to bring out the, well, they've got Zelda coming out. They're going to have to bring out, what's another big Nintendo IP? They may even have to dig up into their old vault, bring out some of those old games, Contras, Double Dragon series. They may have to, whoever devs those games, may have to pay these guys and say, hey, look, you know, we need this Switch to sell, so look, we'll give you X amount of dollars. Develop, you know, this, whether you want to call it blackmail or what, I don't care. They're going to have to do something to bring these developers on to making games for the Switch. Skyrim is coming out. There's rumors that the guy who developed the Dark Souls series wants to put it on there. And if that's true, that should have been a launch title. Do you know how many people would buy Switch just for a portable Dark Souls? I would have been one of them. You know, I would have been one of them. Because I want to play the Dark Souls series, but I'm not going to go and buy a console just for 3 games. Or 4 if I buy Bloodborne. You know, I don't understand it. But I don't know anything about marketing. I don't know the game industry. That's just my opinion. Indie games is not gonna sell a Switch. This little puppy is full of indie games. And you know what? The only indie game I'm looking forward to is Salt and Sanctuary. I know they're talking about The Binding of Isaac is going to be on the Switch. I Am Setsuna is going to be on the Switch. I think I read an article just yesterday, and they said by year's end, it's going to have, I think, about 70 indie games on the Switch. But the Switch needs more than just $5 games in order to sell. They're going to need the NBA games. They're going to need the SmackDown versus Raw. They're going to need the EA hockey games. They're going to need the Grand Theft Auto games. Nintendo's going to have to bring us some mature games if you want this thing to sell. Because guys my age, 35, 40 and up, well, I'm 39, but you know what I mean. Guys who have been gaming all their lives, starting with the Atari system, we've outgrown, and don't take this the wrong way, But we've outgrown the Mario Karts, the Marios, to a certain degree now. Don't take that the wrong way. But we've outgrown that to a certain degree. We need, or we want, the Grand Theft Autos, even though they're not my cup of tea, you know. We want the Mafia games. We want the Mass Effect. We want the Dark Souls series, the Bloodborne series. We want the... There was a series of mech games that From Software also made. Can't recall their names, but they're really popular on the PS1 way back. But, you know, we want those. I don't know if they're strictly for a Sony you know, but Nintendo is really going to have to up their A game this generation, or else I've got a feeling they're going to be doing mobile games if the Switch does not take off, you know. And as far as them replacing the 3DS with the Switch, if that does happen, I see it happening 3 or 4 years down the road. And that's if the Switch is a massive success. Because you remember when the DS came out and the Game Boy Advance was still going on, and they said that the DS was going to be their so-called third pillar. And once they saw how big the DS took off, what happened to the Game Boy Advance? Gone. You know, so I really hope it takes off. And I remember when the Switch event came out last month, I was really excited for it. But all I saw was little mini games and stuff like 1-2 Switch that looked like more like tech demos than real games. And I'm not saying they're not fun. I haven't played them. But I want more meatier games than just stuff like 1-2 Switch or I Am Setsuna or Child of Light, you know, indie games like that. If I want to play indie games, I'll play on my iPhone, you know. I want real games on the Switch. The same way I prefer real games on my Vita. You know, like I said, the only indie game I have, well, I don't have it because it hasn't come out yet, but the only indie game I want for this Vita is Salt and Sanctuary. And that's an indie title made by a husband and wife team, you know, and that's like a 2D version of Dark Souls or whatever. But I know I'm just repeating myself, but Nintendo is really going to have to really pull out all the stops and give it their all, because if not, I see this being their last hurrah, you know. And if they drop out, it'll leave Microsoft and Sony. And while I like Sony, I've had their PS1s. I have a PS2 that's boxed up in the back room. I had a PS3 for a little while. I'm just not much of a console guy. You know, I don't know why. But I've never had an Xbox. I'm just always been a Sony man. But I just hate to see Nintendo drop out and just leave Xbox and Sony going head to head, you know? Because it seemed like those guys are only about graphics and power, where Nintendo was more about weaker consoles, but the gameplay was still fun, you know? And it seems that people focus... Oh, and one more aspect. I see the Switch not doing well because of what I just said. People want Nintendo to come out with a console that's going to rival Xbox and Sony, the PS4. And they will never do that. And I think that's going to be one drawback, because people want them to do that, because these new generation of kids, all they care about is power and graphics. Power and graphics. Power and graphics. That's all they care about, you know? I grew up playing an Atari 2600, playing Asteroids, Berserk, Missile Command, Miss Pac-Man, Pac-Man, Galaga, Zaxxon, Joust. So those games I had fun, you know? As long as I can tell a rock is a rock or a tree is a tree, I don't care about super duper realistic graphics, you know? Uh, I'll take, for example, the movie Avatar that came out about maybe 10 years or so ago. I don't remember. To me, that's one of the most overrated movies. It looks really nice. I can't take that away from James Cameron. The movie is beautiful, but it's a boring movie, you know? So, what good is graphics on a video game if the gameplay does not have me having fun? You know, that's the main thing. If I'm not having fun, why am I going to play the video game? You know? So I think it's not going to sell because people want graphics, which it is not going to deliver. Well, not to the extent that the Xbox One slash Scorpio PS4 Pro is going to deliver. It's not going to have the mature games that I want. It's not going to have a lot of third-party support, which it's going to need. And maybe people will complain about the price point, but $300 US, you know, that doesn't bother me. I mean, I spent $250 on this, the original Vita. I think it was $250. This is just a Wi-Fi model. I think it was $250. So that doesn't bother me. This is the used one I bought a couple of weeks ago, but when the 3DS first came out here in the States, I forgot how long it was before they dropped the price down to, I think it was $250 when it came out. Then they dropped it to $200 or vice versa. Either way, when they did that first price drop, that's when I bought it, and I think it was $200. So if the system is good, then I don't mind paying. You know, the price point is not going to kill me. But how many people bought a PS3 when it first came out at $600? 10 years or so ago, you know? So if you want it, you're going to pay for it, you know? The fourth, I forgot how many points I've counted off so far. But another reason is the launch titles. I have never seen a console, handheld, whatever you want to call it, with such a lackluster library starting out the gate. With the exception of Zelda, and I'm not even a big Zelda fan, the only game I would get if I were going to buy it on launch day next week would be ARMS. And that's just something just to goof off around with, you know? That launch library for the Switch I've never seen anything that lackluster. It's like they tried to rush it out the gate without trying to get more companies to make a game for it, you know? And you know EA doesn't care because they're only going to push out a soccer game. You know? I think that's EA. The guy that said that they're going to bring out their soccer game for it. We saw a commercial with guys playing NBA 2K18, but that's not a launch game, you know? So, I don't know, guys. I mean, that's just my opinion. Like I say, it could be a total smash for all we know. At the same time, it could be a total flop. In any case, I'm going to wait to see what E3 has to show around summertime. I think that's June or July. Then, if E3 doesn't show anything decent, I'll get it just for Skyrim in the fall. And then I'll pick up a used copy of Mario Kart by then. But I really don't see it selling well, y'all. I really don't. And I hate to say that, you know, but it is what it is, you know. Alright, guys, it's probably about 3:30 or so, and I got to hit the sack and get some sleep. See y'all later.